Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the fragment event calendar so you know what you have to do to get Zinogre Blademaster, the new fusion, in Raid Shadow Legends. And great news, it actually looks really good. I think Plarium have actually listened to feedback and made positive improvements. If we come over here, for the first time in a long time, we've got 135 fragments. Now 20... let's put a red line through that, right? Pretty much forget about it. Tournament leaderboards, you can pretty much forget about those. 10 is from champion training. That's maybe doable. Very intense, but doable. 10 from champion chase, like that's pure Kraken territory. There's basically no chance you're going to be able to get that. So let's just X those out. Forget about them and keep it simple. But what that means is we have, instead of 135, there's 115 fragments available. So you can skip 15, you only need 100. And if we come over quickly, look at this, Summon Rush, 15. Champion Chase Tournament, 15. So this means for the first time in a long time, we've actually gone back to the way fusions used to be. They've listened. And you can now skip one of Summon Rush or Champion Chase. You do not have to do both, which is just fantastic. You can skip one. That is, yeah, it's really, really good. Now, what is interesting, let me see if I can get up the info here, actually. Right, here we go. So this is obviously their official collaboration webpage. We'll talk about Fatalis Blademaster in a second. But here's the thing. Fatalis Blademaster. I did a video on him, and I wasn't super impressed. I thought he had some really interesting things, but his damage was a bit lacking. But he will be available in a Void Shard 10x, in a Void Summon event, from January 19th to 21st. Now, if we come over here, 19th to 21st is this Champion Chase tournament. So this is probably Void. I think it was due to be Sacreds, but it looks like it's Void. And it also is the one that is going to involve potentially your only best chance to get Fatalis Blademaster. Again, you can watch the video to see my full thoughts and breakdown of this champion. My main question is, there's always the possibility he gets buffed in the future, and he has an insanely strong passive. So if his damage goes up at all, he could become actually really strong. So it becomes a difficult one. It is only a 10x in a Void, probably 10x overlapping Void 2x. So it's your best chance, but most of us won't get him. But still, means of choosing between Summon Rush or Champion Chase. For me, I'm probably going for the Champion Chase, I think. They're generally easier. I think I'll probably go for that. We'll see what champions are in the Summon Rush tomorrow, and we'll see how easy or hard it is. Maybe it's going to be quite reasonable points. Maybe there's going to be really good champions in the events for it. We'll see. But I'm kind of leaning towards this just because I want at least some small chance of getting the limited edition Void guy. Even if he's not amazing, the fact that he's limited edition makes it kind of interesting. So, but I think you can take your pick, right? You can pick whichever one you want. Potentially, you could even do both and then come in and skip things like Dungeon Divers or skip a big champion training event. Like you could skip champ training, Dungeon Divers, artifact enhancement at the end, you know? You could skip a bunch of, probably wouldn't, that shouldn't be too bad, overlapping spiders, but you know what I mean? Like you can skip a few different events if you want. You could skip, you could skip both champ training events for 50. No, you couldn't skip both. Sorry, you can only skip one. You could skip one. You could skip one. I'm getting ahead of myself here. You could skip one champion training if you did both of the summoning events, right? Because you can skip the 15 points total, and that's 15. It's a long one. So there's possibilities there. Maybe that's even what I'll do. Just skip one of the champ trainings, because I don't know. We'll see. But options, I'm genuinely super excited because we've got options for the first time in forever. It's such a great thing. Now, artifact enhancement, there are 3 of them. That is pretty intensive. So I'd definitely be careful about those. Unfortunately, we are going to have as well. So this should be CVC. I think we will expect to hear probably tomorrow whether that will have personal rewards or not. But that's something to look out for, right? Artifact Enhancement 1 should basically end before CVC. But Artifact Enhancement 2 should actually be on during it. So that, yeah, it should be. So for that little bit of Wednesday, maybe a bit of Thursday, you could actually be upgrading gear, which gives really good CVC points. and get points for artifact enhancement too. So that's a nice little overlap that you could exploit right there. Champion training events, they don't know. It's only the tournaments where you can use books for points. So you can't double dip with your booking legendary champions on CVC, unfortunately. But yeah, that's a nice little bit there. So that's quite cool. Something to watch out for. And that's definitely worthwhile because 3 artifact enhancement tournaments is going to be a big drain on your silver. Also, watch out. We're going to have the new rotation of, I think it's going to be a new rotation. It could always be the same one again. We'll find out in a couple of hours, but the new Cursed City rotation is going to be coming in. So if you're looking to upgrade champions for that, you know, you definitely want to sync it up with the champ training or the artifact enhancements where you can. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself very stretched unless you're very, very, very late game. And we also have Classic Arena. Let's cover those. They are very straightforward. Always, there's only 2 of them. Those really are free. Just do your Classic Arena fights. And it's very simple, very straightforward. Should not be any stress for anyone. So that's quite nice. You can get those done. If you're very, very early game, like if you're in low silver arena, you might need to buy some arena refills with gems. That's the only thing to watch out for. But they shouldn't be too bad. Then we come over and we've got a couple of big ones. So Champion Training Tournament 1. And then a really big Champion Training event, a very long one. Typically speaking, the point requirements are going to be proportional to the length of the event. So you're likely for this second one, especially going to need a lot of points, but you've got a lot of days to get there. You're going to have to be pretty consistently grinding at it. These are pretty difficult. And again, I certainly think it's worth considering skipping. Let's even put a red dot here. I think it's worth considering to skip a champion training event like this. It could be worthwhile. Doubly so, actually, now I think of it, because this is going on. Something else to consider. We talked about Fatalis Blademaster. Let's talk about this now. I've done a video on Nergigante Archer, or Nergigante Archer. She's in a summon pool. So that's just pretty much, you've got to buy this stuff. Summon pool 22nd to the 7th. So 22nd. Nothing is starting on the 22nd. It's possible. I think it's extremely unlikely that the Spider tournament would give you summon pool crystals. I think that's very, or artifact enhancement. I think likely events we're going to see after this are going to be potentially having the summon pool crystals for her. So she's not really going to overlap, and she is ridiculously good. Check out my video. She is S tier through and through. Obviously, we've got the fusion right here. Touching on the free login legendary, I did see some comments. I did a video on Fatalis Blademaster saying I wasn't massively impressed with him. It's kind of mixed feelings. People thought that that was a video about the login guy, Fatalis Blademaster. Obviously, he's a login champion. I don't have him yet. I've not done a video on him. I did give initial thoughts on my initial thoughts video, but that's it. He will finish, I think, for me on like midnight on Sunday. I can get him. What I'll probably do instead is I'll probably wait until CVC, and on our CVC live stream that we do every CVC here on the channel, I'll probably build him up there live on CVC with you and do testing with you, and then do like a proper guide video on him later on that Tuesday. That's probably what I'll do, seeing as I figure most of you are going to be waiting to CVC to build him anyway. Let me see. We could maybe level him up. So that is coming in here. I could level him up actually for the end of this champ training tournament. You could level up Rathalos. Let's put in an or there. Or ATH. Right? You could level up Rathalos here for champion training and get a bit of a boost there. So that's nice. But yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Just so you guys know. We'll probably do him then in CVC. I think a lot of content creators, like I think for the last few login champions like Scratch, Ash, I think a few others have done videos immediately on the Sunday night. Like I'm just honestly not that enthused about being up at 1 or 2 in the morning trying to rush out a video on Rathalos. I'd probably rather wait, to be honest. I don't think many people are going to be building them straight away. I think we'll just wait for CVC stream. I think it's fun to do it on a stream as well. So that's probably what we'll do. But let me know in the comments if you have strong feelings about it. So we've talked about these ones. We've talked about Fatalis. Now this one, Alatreon, that's why we initially came to this screen. This guy, in a Heroes Path event from January 22nd to 26th. So from this point on, we're going to have like multiple events. Heroes Path is starting right here. Interestingly enough, okay, this is starting when champion training ends. There is a not Yeah, there's a very good chance the Hero's Path event could be champion training. It could be now artifact enhancement is overlapping, so it's fairly unlikely artifact enhancement is going to be part of it, which makes it perhaps more difficult. Luckily, Dungeon Divers is overlapping, so maybe Dungeon Divers not a part of it as well. My guess, it's fairly likely to be champion training, summoning souls, or perhaps summoning shards. So that's something to consider as well. It also begins right after the Void event ends. So that becomes tricky. That honestly becomes tricky. What to do, what to do. Interesting. I'd almost be saying, you know, you could go do Summon Rush. Just get that done early. And then skip either Champion Chase, but miss out on your chance of voids. I'm leaning towards skipping champion training just because that's such a pain in the butt. That's a hassle. It depends where you're at. Maybe you love champion training. I used to be there. I used to be the guy that was super happy grinding out champion training. Not so much anymore. So I'd be more inclined towards pulling shards now and skipping champ training. But if you're more for grind, but you're limited on shards, you could do the champion training and again, perhaps skip one of these. Obviously, doing both summoning events means if summons are involved to get this guy, right, in the hero's path, you're going to be stretched for your summon chart. So bear that in mind. If it's champion training, that is a long time of champion training. That is a massive grind that I would not wish on anyone, which is why I'm leaning towards skipping this. Let me know, what do you think about it, though, in terms of the decisions? I'm certainly leaning towards actually doing both summoning events and skipping champ training, the big one. That's what I'm leaning towards. I'm going to put like an X on that. And I think I will actually do both of these. Just because of this question mark. See, this is what makes it more fun as well. I hope Plarium realizes this, right? When you give people choice in terms of the events, it becomes so much more interesting. Instead of being like, oh, I've got to do everything. If I miss a day, you know, my life is over. That sort of vibe. That's not good. So yeah, finally, okay, we've not touched on everything. One thing to look out for, there are 3 dungeon divers, which is often pretty brutal. Dungeon Divers is, let's be honest, ref. Let's take a look, because I think it is live in-game now. Yeah, red dot, Dungeon Divers. How bad are the points in here? Hopefully they're not too bad. Oh, they're pretty bad. 3,700. So these are going to be the real sticking points. These Dungeon Divers, they're going to be hard. So I'm going to put exclamation marks beside all of them. I think they are all nasty. There's 3 of them. That is just rough. There's nothing you can do except grind super hard. So this first one is obviously going to be overlapping with Dragon. That's fine, right? Get your Dragon done. Grind out Dragon with Dungeon Divers. It's going to probably only get you like halfway. Then you could probably grind out some champ training. Let's say over here, do some champ training with that Dungeon Divers. Okay, get some there. You might need to go back to some dungeons and then finish off this after. Ice Golem. Again, there's sort of stuff here where nothing is overlapping. Then it, yeah, really Ice Golem, actually, let me not even put dots there. Ice Golem really begins, I'd say, on Monday when Dungeon Divers kicks off. I wouldn't be really doing it on Sunday. Sunday, I'll be focusing on champ training. Monday, Ice Golem. And try get that done with Dungeon Divers. And then you've got like the rest of Dungeon Divers. Well, actually, you've got a little bit over here. You've got a little bit with Fire Knight that overlaps, so that's cool. And then Fire Knight again kicks off on Saturday. So it's actually quite complex in terms of how you want to handle the dungeons. And then the final Dungeon Divers 3 also overlaps with Spider, which makes it quite doable. Maybe finish that off there. Again, finish this off. I'll put dots in. Finish them there if you want to. But yeah, the big ones here, let's actually put a solid line there so it's more clear. Dungeon Divers 1 with Dragon and a bit of champ training. Okay. Ice Golem, don't do it at the start. Finish off champ training. You've got Sunday, really, to finish. Oh, it's probably going to end for me like 11 o'clock or something on Monday. So not much of time on Monday. Finish champ training on Sunday. On Monday, getting into Ice Golem. Again, that might overlap with CVC. You might be grinding pretty hard with CVC. And I would honestly say, like, you're probably, you know, depending on what type of CVC it is, you might be grinding out stuff in CVC anyway and get stuff done pretty easily. You might easily finish Dungeon Divers 2 at CVC. That's sort of the big overlap there. So let's put that in. Dungeon Divers 2 will overlap with CVC, which is lovely. Ice Golem will overlap with CVC, which is lovely as well. So you got some nice overlaps there, to be fair. You might not even need to start Fire Knight here. You might be able to grind it out pretty hard on Saturday when Dungeon Divers 3, or you might just get it done. Actually, it might not be that complicated. Just do Fire Knight whenever, because Spider is very quick to grind out Dungeon Divers. If you're limited on energy, it's probably focus on champ training. If you're doing that, switch hardcore to Fire Knight on really hardcore on Saturday with Dungeon Divers 3, and then finish Dungeon Divers 3 with Spider. That would be ideal. It would mean you'd need to do a massive amount of Fire Knight runs on Saturday, right? To clear out a whole tournament in one day, that is a lot of runs. Even with super raids, that's a lot of runs. That is kind of intensive. So yeah, watch out for that. Also worth noting with CVC Ice Golem tournament, I believe super raids, they do give you double points for dungeons, right? Or no, they don't. I think it's dungeons do not give you double points in CVC with super raids on. I'm pretty sure they've never fixed that. So that's something to watch out for there. So it's a small thing. But there you go. Quite a complicated little event. I will say there is a lot going on there. And then we've got the Hero's Path for Alatreon, which I think is quite possibly going to be worth doing, but it could be intensive. Like I said, my guess honestly is probably summoning shards, summoning souls, and champion training. That's my guess, but it could literally be anything. It is pure guesswork, so you can't really rely on that. You sort of have to be prepared for everything, but I do think he's certainly worth grabbing. He looks pretty solid and limited edition, so I'd be looking to get him if I could. So yeah, that's sort of what's going on. Lots of options. Let me know. What do you guys think? This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm doing both summoning events. This is likely to be a Void 2x event, which we're not really expecting, but that's what it looks like to me. And I'm thinking maybe skip the big champion training and just be, a little bit more chill with the energy, especially if it's going to be energy intensive from the Monday on. But there's different approaches, right? Different approaches. That's a fun one. I like it. Parium, keep the fusions more like this in the future, please. That would be amazing. Guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.